What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning Wednesday night's fight here in Australia between Paro and Jonathan Navarro. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please remember to hit subscribe? Could you also like this video? And right now, go down to the bottom of your screen, find that bell notification button, hit that so you never miss a video and never miss one of my daily live streams. All right, guys, we have another action-packed week of boxing. Already, we covered the co-main on this card going down in Cairns, Queensland, Australia, between Liam Wilson and Ayrton Jimenez. This is the main event between former world champion at 140 pounds Liam Paro taking on the American prospect slash contender slash at one time a lot of people were backing him, Jonathan Navarro, and we'll get into that in a second. In this video, we're going to break down both guys' careers, talk a little bit about how they go about their business. Always stay tuned to the end of the video. That's where we'll be going over those Las Vegas odds, and I'll be giving you my prediction and telling you where to put your money. All right, guys, this is kind of an interesting fight. Now, if you just go to your sports book and your bettors out there and you're looking at the odds and you've never heard of Jonathan Navarro, I wouldn't blame you if you just think that this is sort of gimme fight or a feeder fight for Paro to get back on track. But in this video, I'm going to give you some education if you're unaware of about who Jonathan Navarro is and how I'm not going to say we should be on upset alert for the Liam Paro fans, but I am saying Jonathan Navarro isn't who you think he is if you're just judging him on those odds. Both guys are coming off of losses. We know Liam Paro lost his title in Puerto Rico against Richardson Hitchens. We know in that fight, Hitchens' hand speed gave Paro all kinds of fits. The game plan, we really didn't see him be able to get past sort of the overall skill set of Hitchens fighting off of his back foot, and he really didn't have any answers. He lost a split decision, but in my eyes, that was a bit favorable. Richardson Hitchens definitely won that fight, and we know moving forward what Hitchens just looked like against George Kambosos getting the stoppage. We know before that, though, Liam Paro goes down to Puerto Rico and took on a knockout artist who was on that immaculate knockout streak in Subriel Matias, the guy who was the champion, and Paro boxed beautifully. Two different game plans, two different styles. Matias was more aggressive, Matias was a bigger puncher, and the slick southpaw used his fight IQ and used his counterboxing and used his overall full arsenal to beat Subriel Matias in a decision. So when you think about his last two fights against his last two opponents, two different styles, and in my opinion, Paro handles pressure fighters a little bit better than guys who are going to want to counterbox him. With Jonathan Navarro, guys, if you've never heard of him, like I said, this is a guy who used to be promoted by Golden Boy. He had a storied amateur career, multiple amateur champions. This is a guy that De La Hoya brought up. He comes from a boxing family. He has cousins in the game. He has brothers who are boxers. He's been around the sport his entire life, but there's an interesting asterisk next to his resume if you go to his box rec, and this is where I feel the odds are so high and a lot of people kind of have forgotten about Jonathan Navarro, is that he took 5 years off. That's a half of a decade, 2019 to 2024. Just came back last year, mixed results. Like I said, he's coming off a decision loss. When you do your research and you figure out Navarro and you learn why he took that time off, you mix in the pandemic. He also had a horrific bicep injury that kept kind of aggravating and he couldn't get past it. So all in all, everything I'm hearing, he's healthy. He is a typical Mexican fighter. He was trained by Robert Garcia, big body puncher, aggressive front foot fighter. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. And before we jump to conclusions, this is by no means a wash for Liam Paro. This is going to be an interesting fight, and I think it's a lot closer than what the odds makers currently have it as. So right now, I do want to remind everybody what's at stake this Wednesday night in Australia. All right, guys, less than a year after Tim Tszyu was sensationally knocked out in the US, another boxing underdog is promising to again cruel Australian boxing, and with his two young daughters watching on in the crowd. Speaking with Fox Sports Australia just yesterday, America's Jonathan Navarro has declared himself ready to spoil Wednesday's hyped No Limit debut of new poster boy Liam Paro, and doing it by knockout. As a $12 betting outsider, Navarro also noted similarities between the hype Paro is currently receiving in Fight Week here in Cannes to that of Tszyu during last October's showdown against IBF champ Bakram Murtazaev. On that occasion, and as a $5 betting dog, Murtazaev sensationally dropped Tszyu 4 times in 3 rounds to retain gold in shock scenes. Now, this Wednesday night in far north Queensland, the 28-year-old Californian from a huge fighting family and brought to the pros by no less than other than Oscar De La Hoya himself, has declared he's ready for the upset. The LA native also stressed he has no issue entering enemy territory to take on the man who held the IBF super lightweight crown as recently as last December. Guys, so this is a confident fighter. He has 1 loss. That recently came in his last fight. He had a lot of hype about him. He has all the skill. We know his mindset is going to be there. He's not coming to Australia to lose. So this is going to be an interesting matchup between a southpaw and Paro, a former world champion, and Navarro, who's an orthodox guy. Orthodox on his front foot, pressure forward. He's a guy who feels that the time is now, and he hasn't reached his peak yet, and all that early hype in his career was well warranted. Liam Paro, you got to talk about him losing his title. You got to talk about how he won his title, and you got to talk about the champions in this division. The landscape currently, we know who the current belt holders are. Alberto Puello, he's getting ready to fight Subriel Matias. We know Teofimo Lopez has a belt. We just saw Richardson Hitchens defend it against George, and we know Gary Antoine Russell is the other belt holder, but Paro believes coming into Wednesday night, he has the opportunity to put on an electric performance and put his name back on a short list of fighting for a world title. The interesting thing about this is, down here in Australia, the big fight promotion is called No Limit. So a lot of fight fans are seeing Liam Paro on a No Limit card. So Aussies are kind of like, finally, he's getting some home cooking, some home love. But internationally, you got to ask yourself, I don't have these answers. Right now in the comment section below, let me know, did Matchroom drop Paro after the 1 loss? Because when he got signed with Matchroom, that was a huge step in the right direction for Paro on becoming an international household name. Big fights, big paydays. We know that Matchroom has a history of signing guys and dropping them after losses, a la Subriel Matias. So I couldn't find anything. Maybe it's one of these hush-hush agreements. Go fight, get some home cooking in Australia, work with No Limit, but we're still going to back you. We'll have to see how that works out moving forward. Right now, I do want to take a closer look at Jonathan Navarro, the American, and see what he's been up to in his career. Guys, Navarro's 18-1 with 9 knockouts out of 2,732 fighters in the world at 140 pounds. He's ranked 272. He's fought a total career of 101 pro rounds and carries into the ring a 50% career knockout to win ratio. His adoring fans know him as Thunder, and the 28-year-old American is a 5'8" orthodox fighter with a 67-inch reach. He was born in East LA, California, and lives in Buena Park, California, USA. We last saw him fight Jair Valteria, 17-3, lost the decision in the 10th. Clarence Booth, 21-10, won a UD in the 8th. Levin Morales, 17-5, stopped him in the 2nd. Mendez, 15-3, won a majority decision in the 10th. And guys, his last 2 fights since he's fought again, he won 1 and lost 1. But those 2 fights in 2024 were his first fights since 2019. I can't reference and highlight that enough because at 28 years old, you got to stay active. Fortunately for him, he's only 28 and not 33, meaning that he's not in his development and such where a half a decade out of the ring would really deter your progression. He feels even though he just lost, that was kind of dusting the rust off of the hinges, and he feels going to this Paro fight, he's more ready than he's ever been. He put his hand up for a reason. He thinks it's a great opportunity, and he's also been on record this week in Australia saying that when he beats Liam Paro, he's not going in there to win a decision. He's going in there to stop him. And when he stops Paro, he's the one who's going to put his name in the hat for all the big world title fights. It's literally the opportunity of a lifetime for Jonathan Navarro. Right now, let's take a look at his opponent, the former world champion, Liam Paro, and see what he's been up to. Guys, Paro's 25-1 with 15 knockouts out of 2,732 fighters in the world at 140 pounds. He's ranked number 5. He's fought a total career of 147 pro rounds and carries into the ring a 60% career knockout to win ratio. The Australian's a 29-year-old southpaw standing at 5'8" with a 71-inch reach. He was born in Mackay, Queensland, Australia, and lives in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. We last saw him fight Richardson Hitchens, 18-0, lost a split decision in the 12th. Subriel Matias, 20-1, won a UD in the 12th. Montana Love, 18-1, stopped him in the 6th. Brock Jarvis, 20-0, stopped him in the 1st. Yomar Alamo, 20-0, won a split decision in the 10th. With fighters, especially guys who were former world champions who are trying to get back on track, I think for us as fight fans, for fans who are either fans of the fighter or people who are just getting into the sport, just look at what they've done in their most recent fights and look how they performed against that matchup stylistically. With Liam Paro, he got to fight a big puncher with aggression in Subriel Matias, and he handled him pretty well to take his title. Guys, nobody was putting their hand up to fight Subriel Matias. He was literally the boogeyman. Now, in his most recent fight against Richardson Hitchens, Hitchens goes about his business a bit differently. Great boxing skill set, great defensive-minded guy, great hand speed, and we've seen his world class on full display. It's why he beat Paro, and it's why he just defended his world title belt at 140 pounds. That being said, the matchup versus Navarro, when I look at these guys side by side, high-level experience, world-class experience, being the former world champion, rounds experience, all to Liam Paro. Obviously, activity due to the 5 years off for Navarro is on Paro's side. When you look at the matchup strategically, you got Paro the southpaw versus Navarro the orthodox fighter. It's going to be interesting right off the bat. We know what Navarro is going to want to do. He already said he's going to be aggressive. He's not going to try to win a decision. He's going to try to stop Paro. We'll see if he actually holds true to those words and executes that game plan, or at least attempts to. We've seen Paro be aggressive before. We saw him stop Montana Love. Montana Love was the favorite in that fight. Love was the one being super hyped up and promoted heavily. Paro stopped him. Brock Jarvis, another guy, being promoted, being hyped heavily here by Jeff Fennick and No Limit. Paro knocked him out in the first round. So, and then we saw his performance in his game plan and his fight IQ against Matias. The thing is, I feel this matchup, if Navarro says he's going to do what he says he's going to do and come forward, I think that's a perfect stylistic matchup for Liam Paro. Before I give you my prediction, I want to talk a little bit about the Las Vegas odds. Guys, remember, I do daily live streams in which we break down all the fights. There's fights going down in the US, Canada, Australia all week. And on those live streams, we go over knockdown prop bets, parlays, long parlays, over and unders. This video, I'm only going to give you my money line. So stay tuned to the live streams. Right now, let's pull out our betting apps and see what those odds are. Alright guys, the betting app I use down here in Australia is called Sportsbet. Liam Paro on the money line is currently a big favorite at $1.06, meaning you put 100 on him, you get your money back plus $6. The draw is 30-1. Navarro's coming in as a pretty big dog. You put 100 on him, you get your money back plus 1,050. So not quite an 11-1 underdog. Like I said, I think this fight is going to be closer than people think. I feel that Navarro is going to be tricky early in terms of how Paro is going to deal with that aggression, that pressure. We're going to be able to see Paro's world-class timing on display, his footwork, his defense. I like Paro's high guard. Navarro does have a tendency to drop his hands, and we know with front pressure forward fighters, when they're not defensive minded, they walk on to a lot of shots. That's exactly what I'm predicting. I feel it could get hairy a little bit early, but I'm fully convinced that Liam Paro is going to beat Jonathan Navarro and put his name back into the short list of fighting for a world title. Guys, you don't have to agree with me in the comment section below. How do you see this one going? And like I said earlier, stay tuned to the live stream because I think there's some good knockdown prop bets or method of victory bets where we can get a little bit more juice for the squeeze. Also, if you haven't seen my breakdown of another fight on this card between Liam Wilson and the tough one-loss Argentinian fighter Jimenez, stay tuned to the channel because that's coming up right now.